Hello guys, we are Edukea from Tanzania, and today we are going to look about economics, and our topic is privatization. Now let's look, in this topic of privatization, we shall look the meaning of privatization, types of privatization, and also we shall look about the argument for privatization. Also we shall look about the argument against privatization. So let's start with the meaning of privatization. Privatization means or refers to the state or refers to the action of selling the government enterprises to the private ownership. It means that the government transforms the ownership of different enterprises in the economy to the private companies. So this privatization has got different types, and let's look one after another here. Firstly, we have liberalization type of privatization. This is the complete remove of barriers of entry. It means that you may find that in a country there are barriers which limit private companies maybe to produce a certain type of commodity or services. So the government decided to remove the barriers of entry of production of something to different companies. So by making so now is we can say that the government has made what? Privatization. Secondly, we have that divestiture. This is a complete sale of shares. So the government may decide to sell the share of a certain enterprises to the private owned company or private persons, but the ownership of such kind of an enterprise is still to the government. So only shares will be sold to the private companies. Also we have joint venture. This joint venture also involves the transform of ownership of the sales of obtained from the enterprises in the economy by the government to the private sectors, where now the private sector will organize the enterprises shares obtained. And also we have repossession. Repossession is when maybe the government made privatization before to the certain private company or to a private person. So then after the public organization can decide to make conversation with the private sector in order to return the land property to be in the rule of the public authority, in order for those goods and commodities which will be produced to be used by the public again, is so-called repossession, privatization. Also we have cost sharing. Here in this type of privatization, cost sharing, it means that the government stop providing some financial support to different activities, especially in production. For example, maybe giving subsidies and maybe giving some inputs materials to education or to healthcare. So there must be maybe a certain company which can be involving with provision of such kind of needs in the economy. So this is what we call cost sharing privatization. Also we have contracting out. Contracting out refers to the privatization of management of the enterprises. It means that the private companies can get a contract with the government so that to manage a certain enterprises. So the production of goods and services of something, for example a firm producing maybe beverage, can be organized by the private company but is still owned by the government. so they can agree each other that maybe the profit obtained will be shared with the government and the enterprises. Also, we have leasing. Leasing, this involves the renting out to a private ownership. For example, maybe a land can be given to a private company to be controlled in a specific period of time. Then after there, they can return back to the government. So a private company can take a certain piece of land for different purposes, especially in production. So the private company can produce goods and services within a specific given period of time. For example, maybe 2 years, 5 years, and so on. Now let's look about the argument for privatization. This is like an advantages. When the government decided to make privatization of different government enterprises to private people or private companies, what advantages or what arguments we get? So first we have to allow efficiency. To allow efficiency, this comes simply because when private companies have been given something to rule, maybe a company producing a certain type of goods and services, now the production must be very efficient because the company always aim to get profit. So they will try to make or to produce good goods and services in order to make a wide market, so that their goods must be sold at a higher price. So it will lead to efficiency. Secondly, we have the second point is to reduce bureaucracy tendency. This is the tendency of maybe making a planner for maybe a certain project. So, for example, a government can set a project that it expected to complete the project within 2 months. But you may find that the project is coming to be ready after 5 months. So when a privatization has been made to a private company, now, for example, they have been given maybe 5 months, they can try to make it within a specific period of time to be ready in order to make further production, in order to get profit. So through that is where now this problem of bureaucracy tendency must be reduced. Also, there will be accountability is enhanced. So accountability, it means that all things which are being conducted by the private company must be well known to the government and the people. So accountability increases in the economy, rather than being everything is performed by the government. Also, it allows market forces to allocate the resources. The market forces, it means that the demand and supply of goods in the economy must control the allocation of resources. It means that the private companies, when have been given something to control, maybe producing any type of goods and services they wish, so the private companies will look on the goods which are highly demanded by the people in order to meet the market. So through doing so, it helps the market force to allocate the resources. It means that all goods and services will be produced according to the needs or wants of the people. So in doing so, now the market acts as an allocator of the resources to be used, for example, rent or water bodies and others. Also, foreign capital inflow. Now, privatization leads to the foreign capital inflow due to the fact that there must be maybe a certain company from abroad the country. So if those people from abroad come to invest in a certain country, it means that they use the capital from outside the country, then they import it to the country. So by doing so, it is where now the foreign capital increases in the country. Also, we have reduction of budget deficit. Budget deficit is where now the government budget expect to use amount of money which is not equal to the requirements. So there must be with a need of a government maybe to go abroad the country to take loans in order to fulfill their budget. So by making this privatization, it can help to reduce the budget deficit, because maybe in cost sharing privatization we have seen that the government can stop giving financial support to some sectors like education or even healthcare. So those money which could be used to buy those inputs can help to reduce the amount of budget. Hence now it can help to reduce the burden of budget deficit in the country, rather than everything being done by the government. Also, we have that another argument for privatization is that increase in government revenue. So when government has made privatization of different maybe economic activities to private companies, it means the tax base collection will be widened. It means that the tax base will be increasing, because at first maybe a certain production was under the government. It means that there was no tax collected over there. But after making this privatization, it means that the company or private company which will buy a certain type of production company, it must pay taxes to the government. There must be maybe a tax for the land, there must be maybe a tax for the house, also the tax for the goods produced, and so on. So by making so, it increases the government revenue collection. Also, employment generation. So when the government make privatization, maybe the company can decide to pick maybe a certain amount of inputs, including maybe labors and so on. So by making privatization now, it widens the gap for the individual persons to be employed in different companies in the country. Also, we have arguments against privatizations. These are the disadvantages of the government to make privatization of its enterprises to private people. First, we have capital and profit outflow. Capital and profit outflow can occur when the government has made privatization, maybe with people from abroad the country, where those people, when conducting their production in the country and get profit, the return, maybe the profit is taken back to their country. Also, even capital outflow, it means that the enterprises which has been privatized to the other people from abroad, it means that is like a capital. Now let's look about the arguments against privatization. First, we have capital and profit outflow. This capital and profit outflow can occur when privatization has been made by the government with the people from abroad the country, where those people, when has make production and got profit, they can return the profit to their domestic country, where now we have this capital and profit outflow. Now second, we have increase in social cost. Increase in social cost can occur when privatization has been made, whereby the private company produce goods and services of higher profit. So some amount of goods and services which are very needed in the society cannot be produced if they have low price to the market. So it can lead to the increase in social cost. Also, difficulty in planning, because when the government has made privatization, there are other companies now need to manage themselves. because they don't want again interaction with the government, as they have been they have been given maybe a certain enterprise to own. Also, unemployment problems. This can occur maybe, for example, when a private company has taken an enterprises, maybe a person from abroad the country, then the person wants to employ people from his domestic country. So the people in this nation now can lose employment. Also, we have that widening gap of income inequalities, because income inequality, it means we look on the income of individual level. So here, when this privatization has been made, it means that there must be with a few people with higher income than the other people, because there is no socialism now in the economy. Also, we have emergence of private monopoly. The action of giving people to own an enterprises, it means that you allow them to make a monopoly market. It means that there must arise a certain enterprises which is engaging in the production of the commodity which is not produced again with the other person in the economy. So by doing so is where now emergence of private monopoly arises. Those are the arguments against privatization, and now our topic is over. Let's look about this question. This will be as a homework to you. Everybody, let him or her try to conduct this question. What is the question? Says that what are the procedures of privatizations? As you have seen in the argument for, argument against it, now go and work about these procedures for privatization. Welcome.